Today on the Diz List, we reveal our Hollywood Studios bracket in this year's Disney Madness.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today we are going to reveal our Hollywood Studios bracket in this year's Disney Madness.
Disney Madness? What?
And that way you don't have to go in and do the bleeping like you did last time.
Oh, I see. So we're not going to censor this week? We're just going to try to stay away from it?
Well, our lawyers have told us that we cannot use those two words in succession. Yeah, I mean, you explained it. If you have not listened to last week's episode, start there and hear the controversy that was last week's episode. Did I just say last year's episode?
I mean, maybe
I did. Who knows? Go back, folks, and let me know.
Yeah, we could call this one St. Patty's Day Madness because it's going to come out for our patrons on St. Patrick's Day.
And Tuesday. Tuesday
is St. Patrick's Day. That's correct. Yeah. Yesterday was Pie Day. We both had busy weekends.
Yes.
You spent your time at a play that looked like it was fantastic. I was unable to go because I was doing something yesterday.
No, it was funny. Like I don't require I don't harp on people. Hey, why don't you go see my kid's thing? Like it's not about that. It was funny, and my son was in maybe we have listeners who are theater fans. I know we have at least three that I know of. But he was in a play called The Curious Savage. So we did that this weekend. But you had a lot of fun yesterday.
Yeah,
you took a trip to Buffalo.
We went to Buffalo. Went to a Sabres game. I'm not a Sabres fan. I'm a Bruins fan.
But I'm a Sabres fan. But that's
Sabres
okay.
Sabres Leafs game, and that's like the big rivalry for them. So that was a lot of fun. And it was St. Patrick's Day parade festivities and stuff going on over there. So it was, we kind of jumped around to some breweries and stuff. We're in the old First Ward, so that's where the St. Patrick's Day parade was. That's like cool. The really Irish district there. So that was a lot of fun. And the Sabres won in a shootout, so we got some free hockey. Well, it was a good time. It was a good
way to look at it.
Yeah.
But you were cheering since your Bruins weren't playing. You cheered for the Sabres.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it was a fun game. I wouldn't cheer I would cheer for basically cheer for the Sabres anytime the Bruins aren't in town. That's kind of how I would say.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. But Buffalo sports, as I said to you, Buffalo sports are better when the Sabres are winning. So
yes, I would agree with you.
It's going to be fun, but it will be interesting if the Sabres win a Stanley Cup before the Bills win a Super Bowl. That would be crazy.
Well, I don't want to get too sporty of a podcast, but I was saying to my son the other day, so the Dallas Stars are another hockey team, and they're really good right now.
Yep.
The Sabres are really good. So the Dallas played Buffalo in the Stanley Cup Finals in the 90s, 1999. Yeah. I lived there then. I lived in Buffalo at that point.
No goal.
Right. And then earlier in the 90s, played the Dallas Cowboys twice in the Super Bowl. So it kind of created this Buffalo-Dallas rivalry. But how wild would that be if the Sabres again played Dallas in the Stanley Cup Finals?
I think that's more likely than the Bills playing the Cowboys.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yes.
Oh, man.
All right, moving on from sports. Thanks for dealing with us a little bit. Anyway, we had three little bits. One of them is Thomas Maslam. I don't know if you're familiar with this name or not. He's the new head of Disney Experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And that was released this weekend. I don't know much about him, so I can't make a comment. My only comment is sounds good and good luck, and not in a sarcastic way.
No, he was the Disneyland president, I believe. So he was the president of that park.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what I read.
I think he was in the running, and I heard also that the president of Disneyland Paris had been in the running too.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know too much. That could be a name that pops up more in the future, and we'll cover it if it does. But here's some good news for you. Looks like both of these attractions that I'm about to mention are going to be open by the time you were there this summer. The big one is Big Thunder Mountain. Looks like it's going to be open and ready to go. They said it's opening in May.
Yeah.
Are you excited about that?
I kind of expected that to be open. They alluded to it earlier, but now they're given like a like a hard date. I think it was May 22nd, they said. And then
I just read May, but if you have an exact
I thought
date,
it was
that's
May.
great.
I for some reason the 22nd sticking out in my mind of something I saw this week. And I'm sure you're about to mention too, Soren.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So that one's going to be
that it had a date that said 26th of May, I believe.
Yes, it is.
According to my notes here.
Memorial Day weekend. So that's when that's coming out. I'm holding out hope, fingers crossed, that somehow they pull off getting Rock and Roller Coaster completely refurbished by the middle of July there when I'm there. You never know. They could do it.
Well, and I don't know what the scope of that project is, but at least from surface, from an outsider perspective like us, it doesn't look like too much is going to change to the actual ride that we know of. But there could be. I mean, they could add in something that they haven't told us about. And, as far as we know, they're painting the exterior, and then that good portion of the pre-show is not a good portion. I would say probably all of that pre-show area where you would see Aerosmith in the control room will be redone, and that will be either video or animatronic or a combination of both, from what I've heard. So we'll see.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. You never know. There's also that new show going into Diamond Horseshoe that's going to be opening soon. And when that kind of starts up, I'm going to watch some reviews of it and potentially add that as a plan. Right now, it's not on our radar. It's not the kind of food we would want to eat. But if the show is really good,
right,
I might go do it.
Well, and especially if it's something new, you're not going to be able to get any kind of walk up. I mean, you could. It's possible, but I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what the draw is going to be like, to be perfectly honest with you.
New is always a draw, though.
Yeah,
at least for the start of it.
Yeah, it might actually be nice because it might make it so that one night if we're just feeling like, hey, you guys want to go over and go to Skipper Canteen? Maybe Skipper Canteen won't be as full because people will be over in that one.
Because they're close. I mean, they sort of. I don't think they don't share the same kitchen, but I think they kind of are back to back.
No, they don't.
Well, they're in the same building. I mean, if you look from above, I think they're in that same block of buildings, but I don't think they share anything.
That's kind of weird how it's like a strip mall, like you don't, just because two restaurants are in the same strip mall doesn't mean that, but the other thing that is happening too is the Bluey thing. So they've announced that. And they also said that the courtyard, the animation courtyard, at least the outside part, will be opened up this spring too. And they gave a date for that's opening soon too. Not the actual, I don't think they said the animation experience, but the animated like area, or the animators, like that square area. You know what I mean? Like where you walk in, where the exterior of the building is going to be done, and they're going to open that up so that the walls will be down. Because right now there's a lot of walls.
I heard they're making a new sign too for the entrance.
Yeah, all that's going to, what I saw was that's going to be opened up. The exterior part is all going to be opened up and, able to welcome visitors to that area, which there's like some benches, I think, for seating. They're bringing back the Sorcerer Mickey hat, not as large as it once was, but they're bringing, like, that's going to be over there. So it'll be nice. It'll be nice to see what that looks like. Plus, anytime walls come down, that's a good thing. Because there are a lot of walls in Disney World right now. So
it's good and bad. You know, it's hard if you're there right now, and it's good when all those things open. I mean, the other, speaking of good and bad, is another thing I read too, is that the Premier Pass was sold out all week too for spring break. I mean, some college has spring break this week. My daughter's in college. She had off this week. So the Premier Pass sold out. So
well, it's not just colleges, like pretty much if you're not from the Northeast, your high school had spring break this week.
Yeah, in March.
So, okay. Yeah. At least if, like, us northern states tend to do it later, but like a lot of them, because for some reason we tether our breaks to religious holidays, which you can think about that what you will, but as a result, like that kind of means that our spring break fluctuates around whenever Easter is, as opposed to being predictable. I mean, I guess it's predictable, but it's not entirely, because sometimes it's the week after, sometimes it's the week before. You never really know. But any other news this week?
No, it's been kind of a slow week, and I'm excited to see what's going down here in Hollywood Studios for our bracket.
Oh, well, we can get off to the halftime show then, which of course is always brought to you by our patrons over on patreon.com/DizListPod. If you head over there, you can get early access to new episodes, you can get bonus content. And then after 3 months, we'll send you a nice Dizlist podcast mug. So if you head over there, check us out. You can even join for free, follow along with some of the free stuff we have over there. Every once in a while, we'll drop something that's a freebie just to kind of entice people to stay over there, and it's not necessarily released to the public. It's only released to members, so it'll be something that like you have to have been a free member in order to get access to that thing. So it's not like you can just go to the website. You actually have to join as a member. Once you're joined as a member, even a free one, you can watch, like for instance, our DVC Q&A with Craig from Ear Scouts. That was
Well, plus you get updates too. So I'm a free member and a paid member of multiple Patreon shows, so it's nice to just at least get updates, even if I'm not.
I also
like
member. It because it's like where my podcasts live now. Like I just don't even open Spotify half the time. I go right to Patreon, but that's just something I do. But because it works on like CarPlay. But anyway, we're going to get in the weeds if we start talking about all those things.
No, that's honestly, it's really helpful. You told me that the other day, and I have CarPlay in my car too, and I didn't know that it was even an option for me. It's great.
Yeah,
so
makes
I'm glad
life a lot easier. Yep. So we're going to head off to the halftime show, and we'll see you right after the break. Welcome back. Today, what we're going to do is reveal the results from our Disney Madness March bracket.
Who's on first?
Yeah, right.
What's on second?
So we'll be revealing our stuff for Hollywood Studios. Before we do that, I did want to mention that one of the things we're doing over on Patreon is we are actually doing every day or every week during this reveal. We're matching it up with a favorite fix or flatten, which is a fun game we play over there, of the same park that we're revealing here. So that'll be fun. So you can head over there and check that out if you wanted to.
We did dining last week for Magic Kingdom.
We did.
So
and we have two choices, and somebody has said, well, just flip a coin for that. So we'll figure it out when we get there. We have a couple of choices. People have asked. We'll do it live. Great. It's completely random. It's a lot of fun.
Great.
So let's go ahead and I'll at least let you know what the matchups were for Hollywood Studios. And of course, I'll put the graphic up here for you viewers. But so the matchups here in Hollywood Studios were as follows. Okay. So in Hollywood Studios, we had the first one was the Star Wars showdown, which was between the Rise of the Resistance and Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, soon to be a Mando and Grogu adventure. They have to add the word adventure in there. I'm sure they're going to add that.
Of course.
We've got the Hollywood Tower of Terror versus the Rock and Roller Coaster, RIP. We have the dining one, which is a quick service stop, versus Classic Barbecue, which is Ronto Roasters over in Galaxy's Edge, with Woody's Roundup Rodeo Barbecue over in Toy Story Land. And the last matchup we had in Hollywood Studios was the Toy Story versus an innovative dark ride, which was Slinky Dog Dash versus the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So those were the 4 matchups that we had in Hollywood Studios. Let's start with what I would consider to be the most obvious of all obvious ones, the Star Wars matchup.
Yeah, I would say so too. Yeah.
So Rise of the Resistance with Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run. I didn't put Star Tours, although I'm betting that Star Tours would have fared better than Millennium Falcon did.
Because Millennium Falcon, from what I know of our listeners, destroyed. I would agree. Yeah, I would
Millennium
agree.
Falcon got destroyed.
Yeah.
It was like
90-10?
93% was Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and 7% Millennium Falcon. I think that Star Tours would have fared better because we do have an audience that does like their nostalgia. And I feel like Star Tours is a good nostalgic ride. And I also think that they might like it better because it does tie in the original trilogy more so than these two rides do. I mean, come on. Rise of the Resistance is one of the greatest rides ever. It really is. It's a phenomenal ride, especially when it works.
Well, I'm wondering now that 7%, are those the people who haven't ridden it or the ride was down or just prefer sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, or they're gamers? Like, I like to think of what are those people particularly into? Or maybe is it someone who's just a jokester and they picked that one too?
To be fair, if you don't like drops, Rise of the Resistance could be a bit much. Right, because there is that drop. And the other thing is, if you have only ridden it once, and that one time is one of the many times like I've had where it's just not, you get B mode, B mode Kylo Ren, and you don't
skip the pre-shows.
Skip the pre-shows. I can see why somebody may do that.
Yeah,
but I wasn't shocked to see that result of getting destroyed.
No.
This next one was the Tower of Terror versus Rock and Roller Coaster. Any prediction here? Because I'm sure you don't remember.
No, I don't. It was a while ago, but
yeah.
If I were to guess, I would guess Tower of Terror 55%. I don't know.
Actually, Tower of Terror did win, but it won by more than I expected.
Okay.
Tower of Terror won 69% of the vote.
Okay.
The reason I was shocked by this is because this was like voted on right in that like week prior, or while the whole thing was going down, like while they were ending Rock and Roller Coaster. And I thought there was going to be some recency bias. Yeah, like a recency bias or something like that. But yeah, it's 69% was Tower of Terror. I'm not entirely shocked that it won, but I am shocked that it won that handily.
Well, I think next year when we do this, if you have let's say it's the same matchup. I know you don't like to do the same ones every year, but if you have sort of the Muppets ride versus Tower of Terror, I wonder how that's going to fare, because if you think about it, it's just essentially rethemed.
That would be a really good matchup, actually, to redo that vote
I think it would be a lot closer, in my opinion.
Yeah, it very well could be. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that, like, so that whole area is the only, I mean, those two rides are really the only real thrill rides in that park. I mean, I shouldn't say that, right? There's some thrill to Slinky Dog, right? It's not
definitely
a boring coaster.
No, there's more thrilling than you think.
Yeah, there's maybe a little thrill to Rise of the Resistance, but like
the drop, as you mentioned, yeah.
But like these two rides are like real thrill.
Yes.
They are. These aren't fake thrills. This is not like kiddie thrill. This is like
this goes with Expedition Everest and Tron, like ones that are very, very intense.
These are ones that like I will needle my kids if they say they don't want to go on, like, I don't know, like Slinky Dog or whatever. Like, well, come on, it's not that bad, right? I am not about to like shame anybody who's opting out of these two rides, because they are true thrill rides. But my kids like them, so it's maybe not Tower of Terror as much, but they'll ride it.
Yeah, the time we went, our group of our kids just said no, thank you, and took off. And
my son didn't though.
And did
he didn't quite understand how big of a drop it was going to be.
Well, hey, you got to try it out, I guess, right?
Because it was your kids and my daughter went off while we went and rode it. Because I remember we saw Max. Remember we saw Max and Goofy while we were in line. They're often up there. This next one is a food one. And I was interested in this one because I know my opinion based not off of the food, but based off of the theme. I'm not a huge fan of like the whole shtick at Roundup Rodeo. And so
Andy's Coming shtick.
Yeah. And I haven't heard great things about the barbecue. You know, it's theme park barbecue. There's a lot of it. So it's probably dry. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, for me, I'm not saying I'm a connoisseur of barbecue, but I certainly like good barbecue because I can make good barbecue. So therefore, like, why would I have bad barbecue? It's like one of those things I rarely eat when I go out, because I know that I'm very particular about how I like my smoked meats. So I was interested in this one because I love me some Ronto Roasters. And I knew that, like, this is a quick service versus a table service. So there's that. I'm kicking myself because what I really should have done is Ronto Roasters versus Woody's Lunchbox, which I actually enjoy both of those a lot. But if you remember last week, we also did a table service versus a quick service. So I kept it consistent.
Yeah, I would agree with you doing that too. I've only been to one of these two restaurants. I've only done Ronto Roasters.
You don't love them, right?
You don't? No, I did. No, I
Oh, okay.
liked them both. We had that for breakfast.
Oh, I've had the breakfast one's good. I
It
like
was
the regular
very
ones, but
good.
the breakfast one is definitely good.
We have that, and then if you're talking about the environment, I love being in there because
Mm.
like that's the majority of Galaxy's Edge doesn't really have as much of a Star Wars feel, but I feel like that area
Yeah,
really does.
yeah,
And the area with the merchants and the bathrooms, like that feels very Star Wars to me.
I agree. I think
But
that's where they succeeded the most.
I do too. I mean, besides the Millennium Falcon, sure, but outside of there, I don't get the vibe of the Star Wars universe as much. So I like being in there. Again, I had only had one meal there, and I haven't eaten at the other, so it's difficult for me to really make a prediction. So if I were to make a prediction here, I would say maybe Ronto Roasters by 60.
By 60%
Mm-hmm.
or 60-40?
No,
You mean
60
like
40.
60-40? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're almost spot on.
Really?
58%
Okay.
went to Ronto Roasters. My biggest gripe with Ronto Roasters is why did they close so darn early? So
Yeah.
like I think it's 3 p.m. Now, granted, you can go get a Ronto wrap over at Docking Bay
Mm-hmm.
after Ronto Roasters closes, but like it's a cool vibe there. Like
It is.
leave it open. What are we
It's
doing?
very cool.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Ronto Roasters is where you can get that cold brew that's got like looks like Reese's Puffs, like cereal puffs on top and stuff like that. I think that's where you can get it. I could be wrong, but I know that like I don't like cold brew, so I've never gotten it, but it's something that I know a lot of our viewers and listeners would like. But yep, Ronto Roasters won by 58. It was 58% to 42%. And the last opening round matchup over at Hollywood Studios was Slinky Dog versus Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This one, I was not kind of. This one I was very surprised at. So let's talk about the rides themselves first. Slinky Dog, kind of thrilling, but still family friendly, right? Runaway Railway, not thrilling, but certainly family friendly and a lot of fun.
Yes.
I like them both. I think for me, I like the roller coaster better, but I don't like that it's down so often. So what do you think happened here?
Well, I'm going to use a clue, and the clue was that you were surprised. So since you were surprised, I'm going to guess that, well, this is all based on my opinion too. So I'll start here. If I were to pick one or the other, and I did, and I would pick Slinky Dog. Slinky Dog, we rode a couple months ago here, and I remember riding it and just thinking, this is so much better than I remembered. It just seemed so much more fun and thrilling. And my guess is that that would probably be the winner. I don't have really any problem with Mickey Minnie's. I think kudos to them for having a ride that has one of the best original songs in years.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I love that song so much. And it's funny. The ride without that song, I think would still be good, but I think it's something like Small World, where Small World, if it had a different song, would not be as great. I think that's such, for me, part of the success of the ride is having that "Nothing Can Stop Us Now" song.
Yeah.
So
It's really kind of throwback to when you had like full on scores being written for rides. I was shocked because it was 68% of the vote went to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
yeah,
And so many people hate on the fact that replaced the Great Movie Ride.
yeah.
And yet here it is in our votes beating out what I think is one of the more creative and fun roller coasters in all of Disney World. So
I think part of the reason for that, honestly, Nick, is our listeners are very open and we celebrate more than we tear down. At least from the listeners that I've spoken to and that you have, I think you would agree with that.
yes,
That when something new comes in, we embrace it and celebrate what the new thing is. I'm sure there's a couple instances, myself included, where we're bummed out, but I don't feel like complaining is really going to do any good. You know, like let's say you are a huge Aerosmith fan, okay? And all of a sudden, and this no jokes here, you know, usually I build up to I don't like Aerosmith joke. I'm trying to be serious for this one for once. Let's say you're a big fan of Aerosmith, and then all of a sudden, Aerosmith is not part of the ride anymore. That's a bummer, right? So I'm going to complain for months and months and months, maybe years, right? Or I can just say, hey, I really liked that ride before. I'm going to embrace this new thing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I just sometimes my social media feed starts, getting propagated with people who are just complaining about this or that or the other thing, or certain YouTube videos, and YouTube people are like to complain, and I like to stay, positive and embrace the change. And because it's a direct quote from Walt Disney about how Disney is ever changing and it will never be finished.
Never be finished. Exactly.
So back to my original point here is as much as we have fans, myself included, of the Great Movie Ride, which I really enjoyed, it was cool. But now there's just another thing, and another thing for us to enjoy. I think
exactly.
Just to end my point here, if they were to get rid of something and it was just gone completely and they didn't replace it and it wasn't something else in that area, that would kind of be a bummer. You know what I mean? Like, let's say they got rid of Big Thunder Mountain and it was just gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of leveled it and they just planted trees, right?
No.
I think we would be justified to say, hey,
right, like
that
what
stinks,
they do with Primeval World, like where it's just gone. They just took it out.
It's gone. Yeah.
Right.
And that was like, wait, that was at least something there. So at this point, they're putting that brand new Encanto attraction there. So hopefully we're going to get something better. I mean, I believe it's going to be better.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
So
now we're moving on to round 2. And in round 2, the new matchups are, we have the Battle of the Blockbusters here, where we've got the Tower of Terror versus the Rise of the Resistance, which I think are the two of the most popular rides in that park. And then just based on how it shook out, we've got Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway versus Ronto Roasters. So let's start with that one, because I think that's the most obvious one. And it is a hands down, absolute beatdown. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway won 95% to 5%. Which I obviously agree. And we knew this stuff would happen in any bracket. You're going to get to a point where like a matchup is just like obvious. Yeah, 95% take Mickey and Minnie's. And we just talked about Mickey and Minnie's, so we don't need to dwell on that. But let's talk about the two others that are going at it. Let's think about the I guess the vitality, or let's think about how great both of these rides are. And Tower of Terror versus Rise of the Resistance, they have a similar thing in that they both transport you right into some sort of one's a movie and one is a TV series, right? I personally love Tower of Terror. I think it's a great ride. I don't have the same connection with the Twilight Zone that I do with Star Wars, though.
Yeah, me too.
I think that the Tower of Terror is probably more thrilling, obviously, but probably more aimed for the people who just are adrenaline junkies.
Correct. That's what I was going to say, actually. And you get more of it. It's a very condensed amount of, the drops. And I don't know the exact amount of time that it's happening.
Well, it's randomized.
I mean, that's true. Because that total amount of time would be different based on the randomization.
Yeah, they randomize that even. How long, how many drops. Sometimes there's a bonus drop. Sometimes there's not.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. What would your guess be as the I don't want to say median, maybe your average amount of time?
The typical amount. I'll give a range. I would say that the average amount of time you're dropping and going up and down would probably be 20 to 30 seconds worth of up down drops. That might be it. I don't think there's much more than that.
It's hard to judge time when you're really not thinking about how long it's going to go for, because I think that's part of the excitement.
How do I not die?
Yeah. I mean, let's really analyze the situation for a minute, and the fact that it is randomized. You don't really know when it's going to end. You don't know how high up you're going to go. I don't know. That's one of the really great things I feel like we don't talk about very often on the show. That's another great re-rideability point for that ride. And we always say how we enjoy the rides that have some kind of shuffle or exciting element and an element of surprise. Like when we're talking about Cosmic Rewind, just being excited when that reverse launch happens and that song comes on, and how you feel and how you react based on that song.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Tower of Terror, I mean, you're going to get a totally different ride every single time. You know what I mean? And that's part of the excitement about it. Maybe you get a slightly longer ride. I don't even know if that's possible. Like, could it happen for 30 seconds? Maybe,
why not?
They, I wonder if they make the rides 5 seconds shorter if the line is really long. I don't know. I don't even know if
that's a good point. That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
I never thought about
that.
What
if the randomization is different?
Huh. Yeah. If you have a short line and it's 10 minutes, maybe they give you 40 seconds of, your up and down time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's really hard to judge how long you're on that ride, but it is very thrilling.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was one of our closest, by far our closest vote at Hollywood Studios, but it was one of our closest votes all around.
Okay.
I'm not entirely shocked that it is this close because I think they both have their merits. That was the word I was searching for earlier. Their merits.
I'm going to say 51. If you said it's close, so we'll go 51% Rise of the Resistance and 49% Tower of Terror.
So it's not quite that close, but it's darn close. It's 54% to Rise of the Resistance. Okay. So that's a really close vote. It's close enough that it's probably within the margin of error. And so this is one where if we did the same vote again and had, other people do it, that it could flip.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our closest vote in all of our March bracket, but it is the closest vote here in Hollywood Studios. We have one next week that, oh my gosh, let's just say it came down to one person. So
if you forgot to vote.
Yeah. If you don't think your vote counts, we're proving it right here. So that was our second round matchup. So the final over at Hollywood Studios ended up being between, of course, Mickey and Minnie's and Rise of the Resistance. And I think that the fans of the show got it right, because for my money, those are probably the two best rides in the park as far as immersion. Now, I prefer Slinky Dog to Mickey and Minnie's, but that doesn't mean that, like, if I'm ranking them about which ones are better rides, I think Mickey and Minnie's might be better ride than Slinky Dog.
I just think there's so many of these different combinations that I would be pleased with at the end. Mm-hmm. This one I'm definitely pleased with. You substitute in Slinky Dog, I'm still happy.
Yeah.
Let's say the final matchup was Slinky Dog versus Tower of Terror. You and I would both go, that's a great matchup too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's so many great rides here. Magic Kingdom, same thing. I think we're going to see this on the majority of our matchups. Obviously, this is the second out of 4, and I think a lot of times we're going to go, wow, this is great. And
this is a good matchup.
Well, this is when we get comments, and I know you get some comments like this, and they were talking about I was a guest on the Ear Scout show, and a lot of people were commenting to me and just saying, this is torturous. You guys are jerks. It being funny about it, not really calling us jerks. But,
for making them choose between Pirates and Haunted Mansion.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So it's this is part of the fun. They shouldn't all be layups. That's the term my son uses.
Sometimes we have to rage bait you, and if it means putting Pirates and Haunted Mansion against each other, that's what we'll do.
Well, part of the fun.
So here we've got Rise of the Resistance versus Mickey and Minnie's.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them, which I think is interesting, qualify as dark rides. Both of them are dark rides. Both of them utilize the trackless ride system that we've seen so frequently now. One of them has thrill, right? Because you've got the drop and you've got the whole like escaping Kylo Ren and stuff when we're looking at the Rise of the Resistance. I'll say this: Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway probably has a more family-friendly ride, but the queue is so boring that alone, in my opinion, could potentially knock it out for
you get
contention.
So bored you peel the sticker wallpaper off the wall.
I get so angry when I see people see that people have done that. If I see people do it, I would say something to them. I've just seen the results of people peeling the wallpaper.
Well, when the ride first opened, listeners, and Nick was there trying out the ride, and we were texting back and forth.
I mean, it was shortly after it opened.
Yeah, you sent me a photo, and I didn't understand what it was, and then you sent the context, and I was like, because at first the photo came through, I go, what is this? And then you explained that it was people. So it's essentially like a sticker, like a car wrap.
It's a decal,
listeners have seen. And just a portion of it must have got nicked, and somebody grabbed it and like pulled, and the stickers start to come off. How big of an area was that where the sticker was being pulled off?
Oh, probably 6 inches square, easily. I mean, so like you had to work to do that.
Man,
Yeah,
but that
I would.
instantly makes it look like
Yeah,
just amateur,
yeah,
unfortunately, you know?
yeah. I would love if we had the queue they have in Disneyland, but you
Yeah.
know, I get it. Now they both have great pre-shows. Both Rise of the Resistance and Mickey and Minnie's have great pre-shows.
Agree.
So
Agree.
that's good. Rise of the Resistance has a few more pre-shows, and I think it's got the greatest entrance of all time when you walk in and you
Yes.
have all the stormtroopers. That like the first time you see that, nothing can prepare you. No pictures, no videos can prepare you for walking in and seeing that.
Yep. It's
Um,
so much bigger than you think it's going to be.
so I'll just rip this off like a band-aid then. Rise of the Resistance won this 62% to 38%.
That was close. That's a close
Yeah.
matchup.
Yeah, I don't think that was as much of a beatdown as I would have expected. I do think if you don't like Star Wars or if you don't like the new trilogy, the Resistance isn't for you. You
And
know?
that's okay.
Yeah.
We
But
have a lot of listeners that are families, and
Mhm.
they'll listen together as a family, and I love that. And maybe they're not as much into Star Wars, and they like the Fab Five, and I mean Mickey Mouse. He's the literal face of the entire company, and
Right.
this ride is his ride. So they had to get it right, and they did. It's a newer version of Mickey, which a lot of people, not a lot, I don't like saying a lot of people automatically because that's not true. There are people who are definitely critics of the Paul Ruddish version of Mickey Mouse. But if you look over time and you look at the evolution of Mickey changes all the time. It's the same version of it. You look at Spider-Man. There's all these different versions of Spider-Man and different costumes. Like there's an evolution involved. There's an
Mhm.
evolution with Mickey, just like multiple other characters that you can think of. You look at the original Garfield, and then you look at the Garfield that we know. It doesn't even, it looks like a bulldog at the beginning, and then it turns into this orange cat that we know of. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, congratulations to Rise of the Resistance. You won our bracket here this week. You will advance to the final four overall, and we'll take on the winner of next week's bracket, which is Epcot.
Mhm.
So next week will be Epcot. Anything to add here at the finish about Hollywood Studios, maybe, or just about the bracket itself?
No, I think over the last year and a half, I've really started to develop more of an appreciation for this park, because early on in our show we were critical of this park. We didn't like it as much. When we had to do rankings, we would rank it as our least favorite. It's very difficult for me to even rank a least favorite, and I think if I had to at this point, I don't know if I could. I mean, there's so much that's good about each park at this point. And look at these brackets. I just said this like a couple minutes ago. You could interchange so many of these different rides, and they're all just excellent heavy hitter rides.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I'm starting to, and I feel like I'm here. I really I'm starting to love that park. Whereas at first it just seemed stale and boring, and now I'm really starting to have an appreciation for it and really what it has to offer. So yeah,
I'm
I'm
looking
a
forward
Hollywood
to.
Studios fan now.
I'm looking forward to Monsters Inc. Opening up.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
area is going to make it so much better.
Yes.
Um,
And
I
Animation
too,
Courtyard too.
yeah, yeah. I too don't like this or didn't like this park. And I would still say that of the four parks, it's my least favorite, but
Mhm.
it's no longer the one I don't really like to go to. It's now
Yes.
the one that it happens to be at the bottom of a pile of things that I really like, like you have to have, not everything can rise to the top. And this is
Yeah.
one that just doesn't rise to the top for me yet. Now, when Monsters Inc. opens up, maybe it will, because I
Mhm.
really like that movie and that franchise. And I think the more Pixar stuff they put in there, I think that's honestly, I really love the Pixar films. So they keep putting that stuff in there. That'll be great. Uh, yeah, all I need in Hollywood Studios is a little bit better food, and I would probably rank it above Animal Kingdom. But I I just need better food there. So All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to head offward now and we're going to record a Patreon where we're going to do favorite fix or flatten of Hollywood Studios stuff. So if you're interested in what that is, you can head over to patreon.com/Dizlistpod to check that out. But it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.